Hey there! Welcome to Chief's Shop and to my simple woodworking series where I show you how to build basic projects. This time I have a garden tool tote with a drop down end. Now this is good for long handle tools. You can also use it as a harvesting tote if you want to. Primarily pocket hole joinery, so this is nice and easy. You can also use up scrap wood for this project. It's primarily what I did this time. So let's jump right into it. Now this project's good for using up scrap. I've got some decking here, some 2x2s, and some 1x8. These are just cut-offs I've got left over from other projects, so use those up as you can for little projects like this. I'm also going to use some 1.5 inch pocket hole screws, some 1.25 inch pocket hole screws, a couple of 2.5 inch screws, and that's going to be a little bit, that's not really for assembly, for something a little bit later. A couple of lathe screws, and a couple little pieces of chain, and that's going to be interesting a little bit later as well. On the bottom for the tote, I'm going to drill pocket holes on the sides and then on one end. One end obviously being that it's going to fold out, so we don't need a pocket hole there. So I'm going to do one about 1 inch from the end, one centered, 1 inch from the end, and then here on the end I'll do this about 1.5 inches from each side. And then to attach the bottom to the sides, we want to line it up, catch a center line here, and then attach with the pocket holes here. Clamp it in place on the ends and then get started. And once you have the bottom attached to the two sides, you can then attach the one of the ends. Okay, to make the handle and to make the ends, we're going to cut a 45-degree miter on the corners, just kind of give it a little bit of a look. This will help later when we're moving this end, you'll see that. But for the handle, which is going to stick vertically like this, start off by drilling 1 inch holes with a Forstner bit, and then cutting out the center part here with a jigsaw. Now, you can do this obviously with a 1 inch router bit and a plunge router and get a perfectly smooth cut there. But for most folks who maybe don't have a router or just want to do it a little less intimidating way, they can do it as I described with the Forstner bit and the jigsaw. And then after you cut that out, go ahead and cut the corners here just like you did on the ends. Now for the handle, on one side I'm going to drill 2 pocket holes, one about 1 inch from one side and one about 1 inch from the other side. On the other side, when I flip it around, I'm going to drill 2 pocket holes kind of centered, but I'm going to use the A and the C slot here. So now it's time to attach the handle. And what I've done is marked a center line on each face and then on the edge, and then marked a center line inside. And I'm just going to place this in, line up all my lines, and then attach with pocket hole screws. Now I'm going to add the other end that's going to flip out. So I've folded up a couple of pieces of paper here to add as a little spacer to give me the same kind of spacing on either side. Clamp this in place, and now I'm just going to attach a utility hinge right here on center. And now we have an end that'll open up. Now we've got to have a way of holding this in place, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But one thing we're going to run into when we try to open this up is obviously it extends down below. So we're going to add rails at the bottom to raise it up to allow that to open up freely. Now I'm going to attach a 2.5 inch screw here through the sides and into the end. This is going to match up with a pin I'm going to put in on the other end to hold the end that moves around in place. Here I've drilled a hole just like I did on the other end for the 2.5 inch screw, and I'm using a 2.5 inch screw as a pin to hold this end in place. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and I'm going to use a little piece of chain I'm going to insert this screw into, and then I'm going to attach the chain to the side with a lathe screw, and the head of that lathe screw is going to hold this chain in place here, and then obviously it'll be stuck on this. Pull that right out, pin has nowhere to go. Pilot hole for the lathe screw, just going to insert it in and twist it through the link in the chain, and then drive it through. Can adjust the chain as I go, hold it in place. And there we go. Now this pin, which is just a screw, won't fall off when I take it out. And there you have it, garden tool tote. Well, I hope you found this video helpful, and for this project plan and more plans, please visit my website, chiefshop.com. And like I always like to say at the end of these videos, time to get off the computer or your mobile device, head out to the shop, and make some sawdust.